Deadlines are tighter, teams are more distributed, and companies cannot afford messy execution anymore. And this is why project management has become such an important skill in 2026. Whether the team is launching an app, building a website, creating an online course, running a marketing campaign, or managing construction work, someone has to bring the goal, people, tasks, budget, timeline, risks, and final delivery together. So that is project management. In simple words, it means turning an idea into a finished result in a planned and controlled way. So PMI defines project management as applying knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. So PMI also reports that global demand for project talent is expected to grow by 64% from 2025 to 2035, with a shortage of 29.8 million qualified professionals by 2035. So this topic matters because project management is not only for managers. It helps students, freshers, team members, entrepreneurs, and working professionals handle work with more clarity, structure, and confidence. So now that we know why project management matters, let's quickly look at what we will cover in this session. What is a project? Understand what makes something a project and how it differs from daily work. What is project management? Learn how teams plan, organize, track, and complete work properly. Who is a project manager? Understand how a project manager coordinates people, tasks, timelines, and updates. Project management triangle. Learn how scope, time, and cost affect every project. Project lifecycle. Cover initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and closure. Project documents. Understand charter, project plan, risk register, status report, and lessons learned. Work breakdown structure. Learn how big projects are divided into smaller manageable tasks. Scheduling and Gantt charts. See how timelines and visual schedules are created. Budget, quality, risk, and communication. Understand how project control works in real situations. Project management methodologies. Compare Waterfall, Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and hybrid approaches. Project management tools. Explore Excel, Google Sheets, Trello, Asana, Jira, and Microsoft Project. Career roadmap. So finally, we will learn how beginners can start and grow in project management. So before we move on, let me share something really exciting with you guys. If you're serious about building a strong career in project management, then the PMP certification training in collaboration with Simplilearn can be a great next step for you. So this course is designed to help you understand project management in a practical and structured and exam-focused way. So you will learn important concepts like project planning, work breakdown structure, resource allocation, Gantt charts, risk and issue management, stakeholder communication, cost and budget planning, schedule management, agile and hybrid delivery, leadership, governance, and value-based project delivery. So what makes this course even more useful is that it covers modern project management skills like Gen AI in project management, sustainability, business value, and real-world decision-making. So whether you're a project manager, team lead, software developer, project executive, engineer, or someone who wants to move into project management, this course can help you build the confidence and structure and skills needed to manage projects better and grow in your career. Now that we understand the basics of project management, let us test this with a quick beginner-friendly question. So which of these best explains project management? Is it A, doing daily office work, B, planning and completing a project, C, only managing budgets, or is it D, using software tools? Let us know your answers in the comments below. So project management is no longer something only construction companies, IT teams, or large corporate offices talk about. In 2026, almost every team is running projects in some form. A company launching a new product, a YouTube team planning a content calendar, a hospital improving patient services, a college building an online learning platform, a startup creating an app, or a marketing team preparing a festive campaign. So all of these need project management. The idea may sound simple in the beginning, but once the work starts, there are deadlines, approvals, budgets, vendors, team members, last-minute changes, and risks. So this is where project management becomes really important. PMI reports that there are already 39.6 million project professionals worldwide by 2035, and the world could face a shortage of up to 29.8 million qualified project professionals, with global demand for project talent expected to grow by 64% from 2025 to 2035. So this is not just a management topic, it's becoming a major workplace skill for the future. So now that we know why project management matters in 2026, let us start with the most basic question. What exactly is a project? A project is a temporary effort done to create a specific result. The word temporary here is important because a project has a clear beginning and a clear ending. For example, building a website is a project because it starts with requirements and then ends when the website goes live. Creating an online course is a project because it starts with research and ends with the course is published. Learning a new app feature is a project because there's planning, design, development, testing, and release. But daily customer support or daily attendance tracking is not usually a project because it repeats continuously. And that is regular operational work. So in real time, a project manager checks whether the work has a goal, timeline, owner, and a final output. If yes, then it needs planning, tracking, communication, and risk control. So this is why many people are already doing project work even if their title is not project manager. So now that we know what a project is, let's understand how project management helps keep that work organized. Project management means taking an idea and then turning it into a finished result in a planned and controlled way. So it answers practical questions like what are we trying to achieve, what tasks need to be done, who will do each task, and when it should be completed. Also, what can go wrong and how we will know that the project is going to be successful. This matters a lot because modern work often gets lost in unnecessary coordination. So Asana's research says that knowledge workers spend about 60% of their time on work about work. Things like chasing updates, attending unnecessary meetings, searching for information, and switching between tools. A good project manager reduces the confusion by creating clarity. They make sure that people know what to do, where to update progress, who is responsible, and what needs attention. So now that we understand the meaning of project management, let's move on to the person who manages all of this in real time. So a project manager is the person who connects the goal, team, timeline, budget, risks, and communication. So many beginners think that project manager only asks if the work is done. In reality, their role is much deeper. In a real workday, a project manager may check delayed tasks in the morning, follow up with a designer for pending files, speak to a developer about a blocker, update the client about timeline changes, prepare a status report, and check if the project is within the scope. In a real workday, a project manager may check delayed tasks in the morning, follow up with a designer for pending files, speak to a developer about a blocker, update the client about timeline changes, prepare a status report, and check whether the project is still within the scope. For example, if a video project is delayed because the script was approved late, the project manager checks how that delay affects recording, editing, thumbnail creation, publishing, and marketing. So they do not just push people who work faster, they make the impact clear and help the team move forward. Now that we understand what a project manager does, let us look at 3 things that balance every day. Every project manager constantly balances 3 things. That's scope, time, and cost. So scope means what needs to be delivered, time means when it needs to be completed, and cost means the budget or the resources available. So these 3 are connected. So let's say a client first asks for a 5-page website in 4 weeks. So halfway through the project, they ask for 12 pages, payment integration, and extra animations. The scope has changed, and now the project manager has to explain the trade-off clearly. Either the timeline increases, the budget increases, or some other work may be reduced. So this is one of the most practical parts of project management because real projects change all the time. A good project manager does not say yes to everything blindly. They say, yes, we can do this, but here is the impact. So now that we understand this balance, let us move into a full journey of a project. A project lifecycle gives structure to the entire project. It usually includes 5 stages, which is initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, controlling, and closure. So in initiation, we understand why the project exists, and in planning, we decide how the work will happen. In execution, the team starts doing the work, and in monitoring and controlling, the project manager checks whether the project is on track. Finally, in closure, the final output is delivered and reviewed. So this life cycle is important because many teams jump directly into execution without clarity. They start working but later realize that the requirements were unclear, the timeline was unrealistic, or the right stakeholders were not involved. In 2026, this is even more important because teams are often remote, hybrid, or working across multiple tools. So if the life cycle isn't clear, many people may be busy but not still aligned. Now that the life cycle is clear, let's go deeper into the first phase, which is initiation. The initiation phase is where the project manager asks questions most teams skips. Why are we doing this project? Who needs it? What problem does it solve? Or who will approve it? For example, if a company says, we need a new mobile app, the project manager should not immediately start assigning tasks. They should first ask whether the app is for customers, employers, sales teams, or operations. They should ask what features are actually needed and what business results are expected. So PMI's 2025 Pulse of the Profession report claims that project professionals are now expected to move beyond only execution and delivery, and they are expected to become strategic value creators with stronger business understanding. So that means a project manager should not only ask, can we deliver this? They should also ask, will we be able to create real value? So now that the purpose is clear, let's move on to planning. So planning is where the project manager turns a big goal into a smaller, manageable work. But planning is not just writing tasks in a spreadsheet. It means deciding the right order of work, owners, deadlines, dependencies, risks, approval points, and reporting process. For example, if the project is to launch a website, the project manager breaks it into requirement gathering, sitemap, content writing, design approval, development, form setup, testing, SEO checks, final approval, and launch. They also check dependencies. The developer can't start properly if the design isn't approved. The tester cannot start if the development is incomplete. And the marketing team cannot promote if the launch date is unclear. So a good plan prevents people from waiting silently. So it creates visibility before confusion begins. So now that the plan is ready, let's move on to execution where the work becomes visible. So execution is the phase where the team starts doing the work. Designers design, developers build, writers write, testers test, vendors deliver, and managers coordinate. But execution is not just activity. A team may be very busy and still not make meaningful progress. So this is why the project manager keeps asking if the work is connected to the goal, is the right person working on it, or is anything blocked, and are we still moving towards the deadline? For example, in an online course launch, the script team may be writing, the PPT team may be designing, the instructor may be preparing, and the recording team may be scheduling shoots. And the editing team may be waiting. So the project manager makes sure that these teams are not working in isolation. They are connecting the dots so that one team's delay does not surprise anyone later. So now that the work is happening, let's understand how the progress is tracked. Monitoring and controlling is where the project manager checks whether the project is moving according to plan. So this is where vague updates are replaced with clear updates. A weak update says work is going on, and a strong update says the project is 60% complete. So 2 tasks are delayed, 1 approval is pending, and if an approval doesn't come by Friday, the launch may be moved by 3 days. So this is what project managers do in real time. They compare planned progress with actual progress, identify risks, and take early action. So they may shift resources, update timelines, reduce lower priority work, or inform stakeholders before the delay becomes serious. And in 2026, companies are expecting project managers to become practical and transparent. They do not want hidden problems, they want early visibility. So now that we know how progress is controlled, let's move on to closure. So closure is where the project is formally completed, but it's not just the final delivery. A project manager checks whether the output is actually meeting expectations. So if it is a website, are all the pages working properly? Are the forms tested? Is the mobile version clean? And are the login details and the documents handed over? So if this is an online course, are all the videos uploaded? Are the thumbnails ready? Are the descriptions added? And is the final quality check done? Closure also includes lessons learned. For example, if content approval causes delays, the next project can collect content earlier. If editing took longer than expected, future timelines can be adjusted. So this is how project managers help teams improve over time. So now that we have completed the life cycle, let's look at the documents that support the project. So project documents are not created just for formality. They help the team avoid confusion. So the project charter explains why the projects exist. The project plan shows tasks, owners, deadlines, and milestones. The risk register tracks what can go wrong and what the response plan is. And the communication plan explains who needs updates and how often. The status report shows what is complete and what is delayed, what is in progress, and what decisions are needed. So in real time, these documents help the project manager answer questions clearly. So if a stakeholder asks, why is this delayed, the project manager can refer to the tracker and explain the exact reason. So these documents do not need to be complicated. A simple document that the team actually uses is better than a long-term document that nobody reads. So now that the document part is clear, let us understand how big work is broken down. A work breakdown structure, or WBS, means dividing a big project into smaller parts. So this is one of the most useful beginner skills in project management. For example, launching an online course sounds big and confusing, but once we break it down, it becomes manageable. Research, curriculum, planning, script writing, slide creation, recording, editing, quality check, upload, marketing, and performance review. So each of these can be broken down further. Script writing may include intro, modules, quiz, recap, and outro. Slide creation may include template design, diagrams, examples, and review. So in real time, the project manager uses this breakdown to assign tasks clearly. So instead of saying, finish the course, they say module 1 script is due on Tuesday, slides are due on Thursday, and recording starts by Friday. So now that the work is broken down, let's place it on a timeline. Scheduling means deciding when each task will start and stop. So a good schedule includes task names, owners, start dates, end dates, dependencies, and milestones. For example, in a website project, content must be made ready before the final page development, development must finish before testing, and testing must finish before the launch. So if one task slips, the project manager checks what else gets affected. So this is why scheduling is not just a date entry, it's a timeline thinking. So in real time, a project manager may say if design approval is delayed by 2 days, development moves by 2 days and testing may get compressed unless we add another tester. So this is what makes scheduling so powerful. Now that the timelines are clear, let us look at a visual way to show them. So a Gantt chart is a visual timeline of the project. It shows tasks on one side and the dates across the top. So each task appears as a bar showing when it starts and when it ends. For beginners, this makes the project easier to understand because you can see what is happening week by week. For example, design may happen in week 1, development in 2 weeks, testing in week 4, and launch at the end of week 4. So in real time, project managers use Gantt charts to spot overlapping tasks, delays, and timeline pressures. So if design slips by 3 days, the chart quickly shows whether development, testing, and launch are affected. But remember, a Gantt chart is only useful if it is updated regularly. So now that we understand timelines visually, let us move to budget and cost. Every project uses resources and resources cost money. Budget can include salaries, vendors, tools, licenses, equipment, travel training, and marketing. For example, a website launch budget may include domain, hosting, design, content writing, development, testing, and maintenance. In real time, the project manager tracks planned cost versus the actual cost. If the planned budget is 5 lakhs and 4 lakhs is already spent halfway through the project, that is a warning sign. The project manager must check whether the scope is increased, estimates were wrong, vendor costs were changed, or something was missed during planning. Cost management is not just a finance team's job. A project manager should understand cost because delays, changes, and rework all affect the budget. A project manager must understand cost because delays, changes, and rework all affect the budget. Now that the cost is clear, let's move on to quality. So quality management means making sure that the output is good enough to use, not just completed on paper. A project can finish on time and within budget, but if the quality is poor, the project still fails. For example, a website may go live in the deadline, but if the contact form doesn't work, pages load slowly, or the mobile view is broken, users will not trust it. So in real time, the project manager makes sure that the quality checks are planned before launch and not rushed to the end. They define acceptance criteria. For example, a contact form is complete only when the users can submit details, confirmation messages work, data is received correctly, and the form works on mobile. Quality should not be built throughout the project, not checked only at the last minute. So now that the quality is clear, let's move on to the risk. So risk management means identifying possible problems before they happen. For example, a key team member may be unavailable, client approval may be delayed, a vendor may miss delivery, or a technical issue may appear during testing. A project manager maintains the risk register. They list the risk, impact, probability, owner, and response plan. If a content delay is a risk, the response plan may be to collect content in phases or use placeholder content for development. If a key person may be unavailable, the response plan is to train a backup person. Risk management is not negative thinking, it's preparation. A good project manager does not wait for problems to explode. They think ahead and prepare options. Now that the risks are clear, let's move on to communication. Communication can make or break a project. A project manager may have a strong plan, but if the team does not understand it, the plan will fail. And in real time, project managers communicate through meetings, emails, dashboards, calls, and project tools. But the update must be useful. Work is going on is not a useful update. A better update is design is complete, development is 70% done, testing starts tomorrow, and launch risk is low. This type of update builds trust because it gives people clarity. The project manager also decides who needs what information. The team may need daily updates, senior leaders may need weekly summaries, and clients may need milestone updates. So now that the communication is clear, let's move on to stakeholders. So stakeholders are people who affect the project and are affected by it. So these include clients, managers, users, team members, vendors, finance teams, legal teams, and leadership. So in real time, a project manager must understand what each stakeholder expects. For example, in a website project, marketing may want more leads, sales may want better inquiry forms, leadership may want business impact, and users may want easy navigation. So these expectations can sometimes conflict. So one person may want faster delivery, another person wants features, and another wants lower cost. So the project manager balances these expectations by communicating clearly and setting realistic boundaries. So stakeholder management is not about pleasing everyone, it's about keeping everyone aligned. Now that the people management is clear, let's move on to project methodologies. So different projects need different approaches. Waterfall is a step-by-step method where work moves from requirements to design, development, testing, and delivery. So this works well when requirements are clear Agile is more flexible and works well when the requirements may change. Scrum works in short cycles called sprint. Kanban uses a visual board with stages like to do, in progress, review, and done. Hybrid combines structured planning with flexible execution. And PMI notes that hybrid management frameworks because organizations are combining predictive and agile practices based on what fits the project. So in 2026, the best project managers are not stuck to the method. They choose the method and helps the team deliver better. Now that we understand project methodologies, let's compare Waterfall and Agile. So project management tools help teams organize tasks, timeline owners, communication, and progress. Beginners can start with Excel or Google Sheets. Trello works well with visual boards. Asana helps with tasks and deadlines. Jira is popular in software teams. Microsoft Project is useful for detailed scheduling, but tools do not automatically make someone a good project manager. So Capterra's 2025 Project Management Software Trends report says that AI and security are major concerns in project management software investment, and AI has become a leading driver of project management software purchases. But the real lesson is this: tools are becoming smarter, but project managers still need judgment. A tool can show that a task is delayed, but project manager explains why it matters and what should happen next. Now that we understand tools, let us apply everything to a practical example. The project manager of 2026 needs more than just task tracking. They need planning, communication, business understanding, problem solving, negotiation, stakeholder management, and tool awareness. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report 2025 says that employers expect 39% of workers' core skills to change by 2030. So that means project managers must keep learning and adapting. A strong project manager should be able to say, this task is delayed, and this is the reason, this is the impact, and this is the solution. So that clarity is what makes them valuable. So leadership does not mean controlling people, it means helping the team stay focused, removing blockers, and making practical decisions when things change. So now that we have understood skills, let us understand the career roadmap. So one major trend in 2026 is that project management is moving from task completion to value creation. Was the project completed on time? Now companies also ask, did it improve customer experience? Did it reduce cost? Did it increase revenue? And did it save time? PMI's 2025 Pulse of Profession report highlights business acumen as a key differentiator and explains how project professionals are expected to move from tactical troubleshooters to strategic value creators. So this means that the modern project manager is not just tracking work. They are connecting execution with business value. So now that we know where project management is heading, let's bring everything together with one complete example. So project management in 2026 is not just about timelines, charts, and meeting. It's about creating clarity in a world where teams are distributed, tools are changing, expectations are rising, and work is moving faster. A project manager helps people understand what is to be done, who owns it when it is due, and what can go wrong, what decisions are needed, and what value should the project create. So that is where this skill is useful across every industry, and not only for project managers, but for everyone who wants to lead work better. So start small, take one project, define the goal, break it into tasks, assign owners, set deadlines, track risks, communicate clearly, and review what you've learned. And that is how real project management begins. And that brings us to the end of this beginner-friendly tutorial on project management. We learned what a project is, what project management means, how project managers handle tasks, timelines, budgets, risks, communication, and delivery, and how beginners can start building this skill step by step. Project management is not about making plans, it's about bringing clarity, direction, and control to real work. Subscribe to Simplilearn for more such insights and check out our related videos.